Thursday night. I can't wait. I can't wait. Okay, looks like we're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. And we're live right there too. All right, everybody. Hey, y'all. Hey, it's JJ Conway. I'm so excited to be with you today. Today, we are going to talk about driving for dollars. We're going to talk about hidden deals right under your nose and how you can find them. But first, we have a new friend. We have a new friend. Come on, new friend. Make sure they can see you in the little box, okay? We have a new friend.
My name is Pandy.
Hi, Pandy.
I'm pretty much Rangy's third cousin.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing his job today, so let me just move you on over here.
Okay, well, we don't want to have dead air. Do you have something for us today, Pandy?
I do.
Oh, okay. Well, come on and bring it on. Make sure they can see you in the little one, because more people watch the little one than they do the big one.
This
what is
another
that?
one, a football card.
Oh, a football card. Okay.
It's a chill one, it looks like.
Very chill.
And it reads, every trophy tells a story of resilience.
Ooh, what does that mean to you?
Well, I don't really know what resilience means, but I'm guessing every trophy is another story that you get to tell.
Of what, though?
Of winning.
You know what resilience means? You just said you didn't. It means when something knocks you down, you're able to get back up and keep going. All right. All right. Well, thank you for that, Pandy. Have a great night. Tell everybody good night.
Good night. That's it.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay, everybody. We are going to be talking about real estate investing tonight. I know it's not the third Thursday, but we would have covered this last week. And in order for me to do the sequence of events, I've got to teach it. So we're going to go ahead and teach it today. Last week we had Tech Week for the Promise. If you are in a couple hours around the Fort Worth area, I want to encourage you to come out to the Promise. It's all new and reimagined. The Promise of Passover. Many of you have known the Promise of Glen Rose was there for 30-something years, 38 years, I do believe. And the amphitheater sold, and they have moved into a smaller but indoor venue at Willow Park Baptist Church out there at the edge of Weatherford, Texas. So if you're anywhere around the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, I want you to come see me and my son in the Promise. All right, you can get out there. And there was a discount code. I don't remember what it was. But look on my Facebook page. There's a discount code for you to be able to take 20% off. Okay. All righty. So today what we're going to be doing. So the reason I mentioned the Promise is because we had Tech Week last week. It was our opening weekend. Then Tech Week, for those of you who aren't in theater, that's where you're going through rehearsal, dress rehearsal after dress rehearsal. You're doing cue to cue rehearsals, making sure everybody knows when to turn the lights on and how to move the props and how to change the screens and all that stuff. It is so much. I'm learning so much being in this production, y'all. I really am. And one of the things about it though is I just wasn't able to teach the class, but we have a schedule. So I need to get on driving for dollars today. Next month, I need to be able to teach about tax sales because a lot of the tax sales I participate in happen in May and June. So if you're going to be looking over my shoulder, or if you're going to be buying with me, you got to be ready to go. So we got to do all the things. And so we normally on a fourth Thursday like tonight, we would do an empowered entrepreneur. But today we're going to be doing the driving for dollars 101. Okay. And I'm just realizing I forgot to put on, I have lipstick, but I forgot to put on all the makeup. So I'm like, man, the camera is not very flattering, but it is going to be all right. So let's see. Let's go ahead and call up the slides. All right. I want to make sure y'all can still see and talk to me. Let's see. There we go. Do I want to do one like that? Nope. I want the slides big. Nope. Okay. Me in the slide now. I don't know what the right one to do to get the best little clips later. But anyway, we're going to be talking about driving for deals. And we're going to talk about driving for deals. This is a really poignant, let me put it back on me. Driving for deals is really important for me because one of the things that I find that new investors start off with is getting all excited about, I'm going to invest in all these out of state. I'm going to use the internet. I'm going to do all these deals sight unseen, and I'm going to make hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. And I'm not even going to have to hardly lift a finger. And that's usually not how real estate works until you've done it for a long time, right? It's like John Maxwell said, it takes me 20 years to become an overnight success. And there are people out there that have instant success in real estate, but they usually have some experience adjacent to real estate. And so what I remember when one of my first real estate mentors, Sherman Ragland, he said, people want to drive an hour or they want to go to other states, but there are acres of diamonds right under your nose. And he said, take where you live and draw a 10-mile circle around it and farm that area for real estate deals, and you'll be shocked at how much money you can make in just a 10-mile swath around your house. And where I live in Stephenville, Texas, the town isn't even 10 miles tip to tip. I think it's like 7 miles tip to tip now. And so, I don't even have to drive a 10-mile radius around my house to be able to find places that I can get to make money. I can just look at what's going on right here, right now. Okay. So that's why that's why tonight's talk is so important to me, because it's a way for us to get started and strip away all of our excuses that keep us from doing what we got to do. Those of you who join me on my walking videos, I made a walking video tonight, earlier today. I made a walking video earlier today about how there's some world events that have been happening that have distracted people from doing what we need to do, because we get in such a tizzy about certain world events, or some of us may not care about world events. We get in such a tizzy about sporting events. We get in such a tizzy about this distraction and that distraction. And all along, the people in power are dangling these distractions ahead of us. And we're getting so caught up in our emotions, our anger, our frustration, that we're not doing what we need to do. And one of the frustrations that new real estate investors have is not being able to find the deals. Well, I'm going to show you how to find the deals that are right in your backyard. All right, let me call up the slides. So we're going to be talking about driving for dollars 101, okay? And so by driving for dollars and wholesaling the properties you'll find, you're going to earn while you learn. You're also going to be able to stack up huge paydays without ever dealing with tenants and toilets. Some of us out there, we don't mind dealing with tenants and toilets. The older I get, the less I want to. But driving for dollars and wholesaling the properties you find, you don't ever have to actually buy the property to get a good payday. Let me say that again. When you drive for dollars and you wholesale the properties that you find, you don't ever even have to own the properties to get a fat payday. You don't have to deal with tenants. You don't have to deal with toilets. You don't have to deal with late rents. You don't have to deal with midnight calls. You don't have to deal with a whole host of things that people who are new at landlording and don't have tight processes have to deal with. Now, if that's something that sounds good to you, then I want you to pay attention to what we're about to talk about, and I want you to join me later as we dig a little deeper in our Driving for Dollars Day, where I'm going to actually take you in my car and drive you around the neighborhood looking for good deals. Oh, y'all, it's going to be so good. Tonight, I'm going to give you two promises. These are the same two promises I try to make with every class. The first one is I'm going to give you something you can implement tonight. You're going to be able to take something that I give you tonight and actually implement it in your own business. You're going to be able to get out on the road, time allowing and money allowing, and actually do the thing. And then I'm also going to give you an opportunity to dig deeper and actually drive for dollars with me in a real world situation for those of you who really like what you hear and you want to learn a little bit more. Okay, we're going to start off talking with about a little bit of refresher of why real estate is so important right now in 2026. And we're also going to look at how to find properties. We're going to look at driving for dollars, and we're going to look at marketing. And then we're also going to look at, as time allows, again, how to do your research. Now, You know the saying. You know the saying. You know the saying. And if you don't, I'm going to give it to you right now. The what is free, the how has a fee. So if you aren't yet familiar with how to do the research and really determine the properties, I'm going to skim the high points, the wave tops for you. But you want to get in that driving for dollars class because we're going to go deeper and deeper. What I'm showing you tonight is a small subset of slides from a much larger all-day workshop, okay? And so you're going to get that workshop. We're not going to do that all on that Saturday. We're only doing 4 hours on that Saturday, and 3 of those is working, and 1 of those is talking and analyzing over lunch. Lunch is included if you're live with us, all right? But you're going to get a copy of that all-day workshop so that you can learn before you come to the driving for dollars. All right. I do want to remind everybody, okay, this is our annual fundraiser. So every month I do a real estate investing 101. This used to be an all-day seminar where we charged a couple $100, and it was our fundraiser for our John Maxwell Global Youth Initiative. The Global Youth Initiative teaches our youth to be confident kids and global leaders. And so every April, and some do it in October, but I live in rural Texas and I used to live in Louisiana. Football season is not to be messed with. So we do not do a Global Youth Initiative event in October like the rest of John Maxwell team. We do ours in April with, they do it twice a year. We do ours in April. And so we're going to hold ours in 18 April. We're currently negotiating some deals in order to make sure that everything is free for the children and that they are able to get some really cool swag this year. And we're also, we've down selected to 3 locations. And so we're just waiting to lock that down, but it will be the morning of Saturday, 18 April. Okay. If you would like to donate, please go PayPal. You can do ministerwiggins@gmail.com. You can also do Queen of Cash Flow on PayPal. Venmo and Cash App is also Queen of Cash Flow. And so you can send something. My recommendation is at least send us $1 for every slide you screenshot. All right. All right. Who is JJ Conway? Hey, I've been a financial coach since 1998. I've been investing in real estate since buying my very first house that I ever lived in as a young adult in 1999. Unfortunately, although I live by a debt-free lifestyle, we did not apply that to real estate debt. So me and my ex-husband lost everything through what we thought was the smart way to invest other people's money and reintroducing debt. We thought leveraging debt was the smart thing to do. It can be a very smart strategy for the right people at the right time. But to start investing and ramping up and having all these properties when the market crashed, that was not the right time, and we were not the right people. All right. So when the dust settled, after a really devastating divorce, I ended up with over $845,000 of divorce debt as a single military mom. And so, like Farmers Insurance, I like to say, I know a thing or two about getting out of debt. I now empower women to improve their lives through financial and real estate education. You know, who you learn from matters. You can go out to any YouTube video with glitz and glamour. You can go out to any real estate association meeting, and you can get people who get up and say how they did this and they did that and they made all this money. But what you have to do is you have to find the real deal. You have to find the people that really did what they're telling you they did. Because one thing I know as a motivational speaker who travels all over the country and sometimes other parts of the world, but mostly all over the country, speaking and teaching people how to break free of poverty, generational poverty, and begin building generational wealth, and how to break free of all the systems that hold God's people down so we can walk in the freedom and the abundance that our Lord promised us. As somebody who does that kind of work and teaches people how to leverage their money in ways that will bring them more money through real estate investing, stock market investing, things like, and starting their own businesses and passive streams of income. As somebody with that background, one thing I can tell you, most of the people out there trying to tell you how to do something, Their way that they are making the money is not through actually doing it. They're making money teaching you and selling you a course on how to do it. They're making money teaching you and selling you a package on how to come to them for mentoring. And then when you get in the package, they're like, oh yeah, this is just the middle tier. You really want to get advice from me, you got to be at the $20,000-$50,000 level. Okay, so I'm not knocking the business model, but very few people who actually run the business model actually did succeed in the deals, actually did succeed at what they're teaching you. Okay, I hate to break it to you, but I've been in these rooms and I've been in these circles and I've been in some of these events and I've been like, oh, wait a second, I know you. I'll save those stories for another day. But it's hard. It's actually kind of heartbreaking to me. Like, I know people. Anyway, let's just leave that one alone. Okay. Okay. So let's go back to real estate. There's a lot of different ways to profit from real estate. One of the things that I like about real estate is you can profit from the property itself, but you can also profit in industries related to investing. And even if you don't have experience in an industry related to investing, there are all kinds of ancillary services such as vending machines and ATMs that you can use with people who have real estate. They have real estate. It's not, certain spots are not being utilized to their highest and best good. Well, you can come in and add value while lining your pockets. So for those of you who are listening to me as part of the Ladies of Wealth podcast, I encourage you to go out to YouTube so you can see the 20 plus ways to profit with real estate slide. I've listed 20 plus ways to profit with real estate. And in the first two columns, I've shaded ways that you can get started with very little money. And then in the first column, I have listed and shaded those that you can get started and make money off of, even if you never actually own the property. So when you're first getting started in real estate investing, I don't want you running up huge amount of debt. Now, I am going to pause real quick because our numbers of viewers is not what it should be. And I want to make sure that my sound is okay. We have been having some weirdness with our sound. So, no, our numbers. Well, that seems okay. That seems okay. I know I don't have my good mic, but maybe it's just because you all see the slide instead of my pretty face. Let me put my pretty face out there. Okay, but this tonight's class is slide heavy. I'm sorry. It is slide heavy because I'm going to show you some things, okay? And so real estate to me is one of the best ways to build wealth in our nation, barring starting a successful business. And the reason I like real estate is because real estate is something I can recommend to all of my clients. See, there are some ways that person A can make money, that person B cannot make money. There's some ways that person C has a talent and a natural sales ability that person D, E, and F don't have. So I don't like to recommend those kinds of things in a general class like this, because in a general class like this, I want to talk about stuff that is going to be applicable to the most amount of people. And if you follow the number one rule of real estate, you will always be successful. Doesn't mean you won't have some blips along the way, but if you follow the number one rule of real estate, you will be successful. And that number one rule is you make your money when you buy. You make your money when you buy. Let me say it one more time for the people in the back. You make your money when you buy. You don't wait for later on to appreciate 10, 20 years from now. You get a property at 70 to 80% cost of value so that either you make good money off of it, or if you have to unload it in a hurry, you can sell it at a cheap enough price that another investor will take it off your hands. And I know that sounds simple, but it's not easy, because if it was easy, everybody would be rich, right? The reason more people aren't doing this is because it's a numbers game. And out of 100 offers, you might have 10 or 15 who are actually even willing to negotiate. The rest of them, they're not even going to respond to you. So don't get your feelings hurt. You put out 100 offers and you don't get but 10 people right back. The other 90, they don't even respond. They don't even dignify your offer with a response. Well, that lets you know you're doing it right. All right. Out of those 10 to 15 that are willing to negotiate, you might get 5 to 7 under contract. Okay. And out of those 5 or so that you get under contract, you might get 2 or 3 wholesaled to another investor. And out of those 2 or 3 that another investor says, hey, I like the contract you've negotiated, I'm going to go ahead and buy that contract from you, or buy the rights to that contract from you. I'm going to go ahead and close on this deal and purchase the LLC that you put in the contract from you. Somehow, some way, you are not buying the property, they are, but you found it, so you're going to get paid. Out of 2 or 3 investors who agree to buy this property and take it off your hands before you ever even have to buy it, maybe one will be a fat payday. And so if it's a numbers game, you make 100 offers a month, you can count on one fat payday a month once the system gets up and running and you know what you're doing. Okay? You make 1 offer a week, it might be a long time before you get a fat payday. Okay? So I'm not going to cover, wait a second, let me go back. So this is why, just take a quick drink here. This is why people give up. People don't like to hear no. People don't like to make phone calls and not get a good response. People don't like getting hung up on. People don't like the door being slammed in their face. People don't like being told, who do you think you are? I would never accept such a low offer. People don't like people not responding to them. You know, some of us get real hurt when we don't get a response, but that's how you play the real estate numbers game. See, hold on. Let me put it back on me so y'all can see me. Okay. You are not making offers just doing the same old thing that everybody else does. You are not going into a realty office, and talking with the sales agent and buying a property at retail value and hoping you can make money off of it one day. No, that's not the game we're playing. We're playing the low offer, get it at a good deal, put a little elbow grease into it, or put some renovation into it, or wholesale to another investor who's willing to do that. That's the game we're playing. And when you play that game, you don't get every offer. See, if you want to just offer what the properties are worth in the MLS, well then you pretty much gonna make, out of 10 offers, you probably hit 9 if you just offer them what they want. As long as you can pay for it and go through the wickets and get the loan and the blah, 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 blah. But that's not the game we're playing here. We're trying to find deals. That's the only way you make money. The people that just go buy a property, they're the ones who lose money. And then they buy a property and they buy it straight at retail value. Then things start breaking and they call for the trades, and the trades give them retail prices, not real estate investor friendly prices, because these people are just doing it on their own. They're not going to the real estate investor meeting, so they're not meeting trades that they can connect with and network with. And now they come back to me as clients and they're like, JJ, I tried that real estate investing thing, but I'm losing money. I don't want you to lose money. I don't want you to lose money. No losing money. All right. So in order to not lose money, you got to play the numbers game so that when you do close on a deal, or you take that deal and wholesale it to another investor, they close on that deal and they give you your payday. But if you can't find them a good deal, they're not going to close on it. You're not going to get a payday. So that's why we're covering the value in the property and the things like that. Things like that we're going to cover today. All right. Okay. So it's a numbers game. That's why a lot of people aren't successful. Now, this is not wholesaling 101. Wholesaling 101 is what we normally would have covered already, except that we had the storms and we had life happen and things like that. So you're going to go out to real estate. No. Oh my goodness, y'all. I forgot what my own website. We got a new website for real estate. I forgot what it was. Whoops. Okay. So you're going to go to my YouTube channel at JJ Knows the Way, and you're going to search for the wholesaling video that we did last year, because it's the same slides, okay? And it's pretty much the same thing. Nothing is really changed in the wholesaling steps. But what we're covering in it today is what doesn't get covered in that, because I have the Driving for Dollars 101 class, which is what we're doing today. Okay, what we're going to cover today is we're going to cover finding candidate properties and doing the research to determine who owns the property, how you can get a hold of them, and the value of the property so you can follow that number one rule of making your money when you buy. Or more appropriately, for those of you who don't want to buy the property, so that you can make sure that the investor who takes that property will be enticed because you followed the number one rule of making your money when you buy. But just to cover what wholesaling does and what wholesaling is, wholesaling, let me put this on me. Wholesaling is one of the most phenomenal concepts in real estate investing. And technically, you can wholesale anything, okay? But in real estate investing, what wholesaling is, you find a property for another investor to buy. You find the property, you negotiate with the owner a price that's enticing to the real estate investor who's going to eventually buy it. You negotiate a price, you lock it down on the contract, then you assign or sell that contract, depending on what's legal in your state. You assign or you sell that contract, depending on what's legal in your state. And then that investor buys that contract, goes to closing, they buy the property, they cut you a check for your trouble. Okay. And so that's the whole overall process of wholesaling. Why does that work? Because you are saving the investor a significant amount of time. And I tell people all the time, one of the reasons I teach people, one of the reasons I teach new investors how to wholesale is so they will bring me properties. And I got a taste of this with the very first property that I bought on my own after the divorce. It was a $3,000 house in Baltimore City. And I put $11,000 into it, and that property made me over $100,000 over the time that I had it rented. Do you think I mind having paid the wholesaler who brought it to me? Do you think I mind cutting them their $3,000 check? No, I will rinse and repeat that deal all day long. You find me a $3,000 property and I pay you $3,000 for it and make $100,000 off the whole deal? Even with the renovation costs, $11,000. Okay, 11 plus 3, that makes $17,000. Y'all, that is a profit over a 9-year span that I had that property. That is a profit of $87,000. The man was worth this $3,000. And all he did was rinse and repeat. And he was able to make a nice living. And I like the way he did it. He would rinse and repeat. And then he would take all those little chunks of 3,000s, add them all up, and then go buy a property free and clear that was now his buy and hold. You know, I like people to build wealth, not lose it. So that's why this is such a powerful, powerful strategy. So we're going to look at how to find candidate properties. And so there's 2 methods for finding candidate properties, okay? Prospecting is where you go out looking for deals. That's the main part of what we're talking about today, okay? Marketing is where you entice owners to call you with your potential deals. So those are people who have the flyers and the banners and the bandit signs and things like that, okay? We're not going to dig into the marketing today, although when you find a property for driving for dollars, you are going to have to do some marketing to that property owner to get them to call you to begin the negotiation process. But we're not going to dig into that today. We're going to dig into the driving for dollars part of it, the prospecting part of it. Okay. So prospecting methods, there are a couple of things that we covered in the wholesaling class. We covered using realtors in the MLS. And again, that's not where you're going to find the best deals. However, those are people who already want to sell. Okay. We talked about bandit signs in the wholesaling class because, you know, maybe they've got a deal they can't use or they have something they want to unload. We talked about calling for rent ads, especially if you age them for a few months and then maybe that landlord is tired of missing out on rent and they might be willing to give you a good deal on the property. Okay, so we cover those things in the wholesaling class. Again, if you did not catch that class that we did last year, or you are listening to me as part of the podcast and you cannot see my slides, I encourage you to go to youtube.com/ at JJ Knows the Way, and you'll be able to search for the Wholesaling 101 and get the discussion that we had on these topics. So today we're going to look at driving for dollars, okay? And what driving for dollars is, let me go ahead and skip the marketing methods there, okay? What driving for dollars is basically you get in your car. Now, some people, they use the internet. Some people let their fingers do the walking, right? But for me, I like to get in my car, learn the neighborhood, understand the properties, who's who, what's what, where's where. And what you're looking for is you're looking for properties that it appears the owner might be willing to sell at a discount. You're looking for properties where the owner might want to sell at a discount. Okay. So when we are driving for dollars, trying to get the screen back onto me here. When we are driving for dollars, computer is going slow. Okay. When we are driving for dollars, it's not going to let me put it back on me. So I apologize to those of you. What just happened? Did I get out of my screen? Oopsie. Oh, wow. The computer really is running slow. Oh dear. I hope y'all. All right. Let's see. Let's go back to the slides. Okay. Well, now that I'm here, let's put me on. Can we get rid of that screen? How do I get rid of this? How do I get rid of that? No, just take that off. Okay, my Windows window is on and I can't get rid of it. All right, well, we're just going to have to stick with the slides. Then I was going to try to put it on me and have a heart-to-heart with you for a moment. But it's not. My computer is saying, I'm tired. All right, so when you're driving for dollars, you're looking for properties where it looks like the owner would want to sell in a hurry and at a discount. We are not looking for pretty, gorgeous properties that you would want to move into tomorrow. We are looking for properties that are under distress. Why are we looking for properties that are under distress? Because if it's not under distress, there's no incentive to the owner to sell it to you at 70 to 80% of the value. See, we're looking for properties that we can get at a discount. The only way we're going to get investors to be able to work with us is to get the property at a discount. And so we're looking for things that you have some code violations, or maybe the bushes and stuff are overgrown, or maybe the windows have been boarded and now it's time for people to come back and they haven't come back and now it's going into the next season. I've learned never to scoff at a seller's why. They might have a divorce going on. They might have had a death in the family. Sometimes people got their dream job, the job of a lifetime, and they moved across the country and they just need to unload this thing. And so it's not always a bad reason, but even if it is, but this one has some mismatched repairs on the roof and stuff. You're also looking for stuff that's boarded up when everybody else hasn't been boarded. Okay, this is one that we tried to get, and it was one of those that was vacant, and what ended up happening? They wanted $800,000 for it, which I would have bought this for $800,000. This was in Tampa. That's Tampa beachfront right there. Or was, 10 years ago. But we were just walking along and we didn't even see this one from the road, but we saw it as we were coming from the beach. We saw it coming back. And so, that there was a family situation or something like that going. And so by time we got back from the people and actually was able to kind of work out a price, we had other irons in the fire and didn't strike on this one. But this is one of those it's like the fish that got away, but always keep your eye open, because you never know when you're going to see something that's going to catch your eye, is going to be a good idea. All right. So what I'm going to show you now, what I'm going to talk to you about now, if we were in our workshop, we would actually work on the checklist of things and the phone scripts. Okay. If you join us for the Driving for Dollars Day, That's going to be on 13th April. That's a Monday. It's 13th April from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you are in Stephenville, Texas, that is a bad weather school day, and we didn't need all our bad weather school days, so the kiddos are out of school, which means my kiddo and the teachers are not working, which means my kiddo will be with his dad, and I am free to go do driving for dollars that day. All right. So if you want to hop in the car, you can come with me. You're going to go to jjclink.com/D4, the number 4D. So D, the number 4D, driving for dollars. Okay. Before we get out there to drive for dollars, though, you've got to do some prep work. Now, I know maps are a thing of the past, but there are still jurisdictions that sell maps. And the ADC map used to be my favorite. I don't know what's the current standard, but because it was 10 years ago that I bought a map like this where I lived in those areas. But what the ADC and other equivalent maps do is they're like the way Google used to be, or the way Google's. I'm sorry, y'all. What these maps do is basically what Google does for us. And so the ADC map specifically, and some Rand McNally apps, not all of them, but some will give you every single street. And so when I was a realtor in the DC area, I kept in my car at all times the Northern Virginia, the DC, and Maryland versions. And every once in a while, you'd see an edition that was all of it the same in one book. But when I couldn't find those, I would always get the most up-to-date, because it would have every street. And when when your GPS goes out, when Google stops working, or sometimes Google's not up to date, the map would have what you needed. Now, I'm going to use Google for my prep work because it's so prevalent now, but don't sleep on these old-fashioned methods, because especially if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, I have found navigation systems like Google to not work very well in Dallas. Siri does not work very well in Dallas. Google Maps does not work very well in Dallas. Okay. Well, what I did, this is the town of Stephenville. Okay. This is the town of Stephenville. It's like 6.5 miles from tip to tip. Okay. And so you can see that the town is on a diagonal. Well, what I did, I'll show you here in a second, is I made a series of maps to show where we're going to go driving for dollars. Again, what we're looking for is something that implies that the seller, the owner, would be willing to sell in a hurry. Let me say that again. Let me take a sip of something to drink, and let me say that again. Actually, let me see if I can get it back to you guys so I can show you me. Okay, great. What we are looking for when we are driving for dollars, we are looking for indications that there is this property that the owner would be willing to sell in a hurry. We're not looking for the pretty house that's going to sell for top dollar. We're looking for something that the owner is going to want to sell in a hurry, and that they're willing to sell it as for a discount. And the kinds of things that make them want to sell in a hurry and at a discount would be if it's vacant, if it has a lot of code violations, if it's really overgrown, and they can't take care of it anymore, right? We're looking for those kinds of properties so that when we call the seller, who isn't a seller yet usually, yes, we are also looking for properties that have a for sale sign, but we're not calling all the properties for a for sale sign. We're specifically looking for the ones where people are looking like they want to sell quickly, okay? And so let me put it back on the slide. We are looking for the ones that need a lot of repair. There's a lot of bandit signs out front, even though those people don't own the property, okay? Those are the kinds of things that we are looking for, okay? In my prep, now I'm going to go quick through this because this is really more what you're going to get in the driving for dollars day. I just want you to get a preview, okay? What I did was I took the town. I took the Google map of the town. I decided here's where we're going to go. This is where we're going to go on April 13th. We're going to drive for dollars in this rectangle. I shifted it because my town lies on a diagonal, but I shifted the map so that everything's on a grid. It makes it really easy to follow. And I did a lot of cutting and pasting to make that slide. Okay. And then now I've got these in here, and we can go through and chart out where all the sections are. And what I've done is I've blown it up so that you can see the individual houses, so that as we're driving along, if there's a property of interest, we can circle it real quick. We can get the information on it. We don't have to waste time fumbling. Okay. So I've done that for all of the properties in that circle in that rectangle where I want to go invest. I've drilled it down. This is my prep work. This is what's going to be on my, oops. What did I do? This is the prep work that's going to be on my clipboard. All right. I can't see y'all. I don't know if you can hear me or feel me or see me. I don't know if y'all can see me. I feel like I lost my slide somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay. So we're going to go through, after we find properties, we're going to go through researching them. I'm going to give you the checklist, like the scripts, the checklist, what to look for. Okay. We're actually going to practice it. And then if we can get the contact information for some people, we're actually going to call them. Oh yeah, it's going to be good. Okay. We're going to do some analysis. We're going to start off with the free tools that are available to us. And then I'm going to show you how to find some others. That's going to depend on who's in. Okay. That's going to depend on who's in the class, because I'm going to customize that to who's in the class. Every jurisdiction is different. All right. Now we're not going to cover marketing, because this is how to get them to call you back once you find a property. This also applies to marketing for wholesaling properties in the first place. And we're going to cover all that in the 13 April course. Okay. So once you find the properties, you got to do your research. We're going to research the values. I like people to start with realtor.com, because that way, if you're in a jurisdiction where it shows you what stuff sold for, you'll know what it's sold for. I've listed some great things here. You can screenshot that slide. And we don't want to offer too much, but right now we're not even going to dig into all that, because we are just talking about the driving for dollars part. I guess I forgot to hide the rest of the presentation. Okay, so now I cannot see my screen, but I'm pretty sure that there we go. I'm pretty sure that my computer is going to die soon. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you'll join us for the class in April. Y'all take care and be blessed.
Don't forget to like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and ask your question at ladiesofwealth.com.